Hello, my name is Christoph Witte. I'm a freelance journalist and I'm here at the booth of the International Software Architecture Qualification Board. And I want to talk to Uwe Friedrichsen. He is the CTO of the software development company Codecentric, and he's a distinguished software architect. Hi Uwe.
Hi.
Lately I have the impression that the demand on software architects lately is lessening. Is that a correct impression?
Well, based on my observation, it depends on where you look at. So with the rise of the agile movement, we got a lot of confusion, which led to a strange perception of the role of the architect and architectural work, basically. So starting with this misunderstanding of Scrum, saying, yeah, well, Scrum doesn't define a role of a software architect and therefore we don't need any architects. And I always reply to that, well, Scrum also does not define the role of a software developer, and surprised there's still software developers in the team because the team needs all skills for that, and therefore you probably also need software architectural skills in some way. And so what I've seen, we had this downward move with the rise of this dogmatic agile movement. So 2010 up to 2015. In the last 2 or 3 years, I still see this pendulum swinging a little bit backwards, so that people say, well, doing it completely without architectural support, the results are a little bit, well, underwhelming, so maybe it has some value after all.
Okay, and is the demand stable now, or is it in higher demand than 2010, or is it hard to say?
I'm not sure if it's a higher demand. What I think is that after going extreme, what we always see with new movements in this direction, let's kill all architects and we do everything in the team and everything's emergent in some way and so on, that they've seen that, let's be polite, there was a lot of premature legacy softwares produced based on that. So that some solutions were created where maintainability suffered a lot and a lot of other aspects. And said, well, probably missed something, and therefore there is more demand for architectural work at least.
Okay, and what do they do today in this new agile world?
Well, basically, how to phrase that best? So we still don't have any demand for some architects coming around and saying, here I am, I'm the godlike architect and I tell you underlings how to do your work, and here is my big eternal plan, and unless you do it like that, you're doing it wrong or something like that. And best of all, coming from an ivory tower and not having touched a keyboard for 7 years or something like that. Still no demand for that, no matter where you look. But again, there's a lot of demand for architectural work, basically, and to understand what went wrong in the other discussion, if you let a developer or someone who only did development in his whole career decide about architecture in all means, so just have the development, what often happens is that they focus on their area expertise, which is problems in software development, like things, for instance.
So the architect has to have a broader view.
Exactly.
And he has more a consultative role, or
more or less, basically the broader view. One thing that's important is that you have to balance a lot of different aspects. So like development properties, of course, and runtime properties, financial properties, consumer-related properties, and all these properties, how to balance them, because sometimes they're contradicting, like, hey, developer experience versus security and maintainability versus time to market and all these, and find the right mixture. And therefore you need to have all these things put them into aspect, and which is for me the most important aspect of the architectural role, to understand all these forces and try to find the right balance for that. And then, of course, that's what you said, this consulting role. what I usually tell people for if I do workshops about architectural work, I always say, the architect is not the peer person who makes the decision. The architect usually is the person who helps all the other stakeholders to understand the big picture in order to help them to make the best decisions in their context. And then I totally agree with you saying, yeah, it's more like a supporting
supportive
role.
Best supporting role.
Yeah, sort of that. Yeah. So this we have also this how's it called, this servant leadership idea, which most people misunderstand and say, well, the servant we forget about. I'm the leader, and really serving.
Okay.
Helping people.
And how can you train to be this kind of architect?
Yeah. Now we have two aspects. The one thing is you have to leave a little bit your comfy chair, especially if you, no matter where you're coming from. Say you come from software development, say, well, what are the concerns of the managers? What are the concerns of the business department? What are the concerns of financial? What are the concerns of operations? And blah, 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 blah. All these different roles, and trying to understand what their problems, their concerns are, their drivers, their forces, and then as a soft skill part more, trying to be more empathetic in a way, saying, I try to understand them. I try to understand where they come from, what their needs, what their concerns are. Why are they acting this way? Why are they saying no to that and vice versa? And try to help people to, again, having this a little bit more systemic, holistic viewpoint, helping other people to understand that and the consequences of their demands and their acting.
Mm-hmm. And since we are here at the booth of the iSAQB, how can an organization like this help to create or to establish this new role of a software architect?
What they do very well, from what I've seen in the past, where I'm a member of iSAQB for several years, meanwhile, and I've seen a lot of what they're doing. And what they're doing quite well is helping to create that big picture. So saying, hey, here, different points, different ideas, different options. I mean, it's not only understanding it, but seeing what are possible solutions, options for that, what are the pros and cons, and so on. That's quite good. They also do a little work in terms of this soft skills, which are actually the hard skills, but well, that's a different discussion. But I think that's a quite wise discussion that they said, yeah, we give you some basics for that, but learning the depth of the soft skills, there are other companies who know that a lot better than we do, and basically that's an orthogonal and cross-functional concern, and therefore go to them, because you don't need that only for becoming an architect. So we give you all the architect-specific things, we give you a pointer to that one, and then, okay, be aware that you need a little bit more over there then. Okay. Well, they're doing a good job for that.
Okay, thank you very much, Uwe. And thank you for your time. You see, the role of software architect changed dramatically in the last 3 to 2 years, and it is more a guiding role today than it was before. And it's all about, like Uwe says, it's all about the big picture. Thank you very much.